Hello there, welcome to ATB Guitars question and answer video. This is number 5 and today we have a question from Gareth Bruff who's asked us via Instagram. As someone that has seen, played, traded more vintage guitars than most people on the planet, how much variation is there? We hear that there are good and bad vintage guitars, but what's the ratio and how many truly outstanding pieces have you had? Okay, Gareth, that's a very good question, and probably the answer may surprise you. Actually, to be honest, we have had a lot of vintage guitars, thousands in fact. We have played and traded and sold, and I can honestly say there's been very few really bad ones. Most vintage guitars which have survived this long now have survived for a reason, i.e. they're good players, they sound great, and they've been looked after to keep them in that condition for many years because they do sound that way, or they do feel that way. We have had a few bad ones, and the reasons for that are usually warpage of the neck, not so much the banana shape but sideways warping. I've had a couple of those which have been basket cases. We had a Telecaster once sent over from South Africa which had some horrendous neck warpage in the twisting way, and that was, we had to actually send that back, it was so bad. I've had a couple of those. As far as actual bad guitars from the factory go, then there are two pieces or two types I can remember. The first is, me personally, I do not like melody makers, 60s Gibson melody makers. I think the combination of the brittle sounding single pole pickups and the plastic pickguard make them sound really cheap, cheesy, and some people may like that, but personally I don't like it at all. They feed back quite quickly and they don't sound like a Gibson to me at all. So I personally don't think melody makers are good guitars. The other ones I struggle to think that I've had many good ones are late 70s Strats. The Strats tended to get very heavy towards the end of the 70s, and when CBS took over, the quality control dropped quite considerably from the mid-70s through to the late 70s. The tolerances of the neck fit in the pocket was very bad. We've come across late 70s Strats with the 3-belt neck, which have got a gap of about 5 millimeters between the neck and the body, and you can literally grab hold of one side of it, pull it up and use it like a whammy bar, almost making the strings a semitone out of tune. It's been really bad, and dealers used to tell me back in the late 70s they used to get the Strats into the store, take them off the wall, and before the customer wanted to try them out they had to sneakily wrench the neck into position to make sure that it didn't drop the tuning during the trial of a guitar. So aside from my personal preferences to not liking melody makers and the quality control of the late 70s Strats, I find that there's very few bad vintage guitars out there. Ones which are bad in terms of setup, sound, playability, can often be put right if you give it to a good tech. There's good techs all around the world who can do wonders resurrecting guitars which aren't in their prime. And if you have a guitar like that, you should probably think about going to one of those techs. If you email us, we can give you a list of recommendations. Otherwise, you will find that your vintage guitar will last for ages, and from experience there's very few bad ones out there. So thank you very much for watching this. If you have any other questions, please either comment below or send us a message via our social media platforms, Instagram and Facebook, and see you next time.